Bernie Sanders in ruby red West Virginia before a packed crowd, bringing the House down, shredding Donald Trump. Let me show you what went down when Senator Bernie Sanders brought his Fight the Oligarchy tour to ruby red West Virginia. He says, I thought y'all said that this was a Republican area or a conservative area. This is an area where we fight the oligarchy. Here, watch this.
Thank you. What a great turnout. I was told that West Virginia was a conservative state. Somebody got it wrong.
Yeah, a packed crowd, an energetic crowd chanting for Senator Bernie Sanders. Here he is in another powerful moment. Let's play it.
All right, let me cut to the chase. We are living in a moment that is unprecedented in the modern history of this country, and we have got to act in an unprecedented way in response. You know, I've been all over this country in the last number of months, and what I've learned is the American people do not want to live under an oligarchic form of society. The American people and the men and women who put on the uniform of this country fought and died to defend democracy. And we are not going to let Trump take us to an authoritarian society. And the working people of this country understand there is something profoundly wrong when you have a president who gives $1 trillion in tax breaks to the top 1%. And then makes massive cuts to Medicaid. 15 million Americans, including 50,000 right here in West Virginia, are going to lose their health care. Cuts to nutrition, literally taking food out of the mouths of hungry kids. Now, we understand that what's going on right now is an acceleration of what's gone on in this country for the last 50 years, and that is the people on top who have never, ever had it so good, they're not satisfied. They got a couple of $100 billion, not enough. They want more and more, and they, in their greed. See, these are very religious people. And their religion is greed, and they worship on the altar of money. And they don't care if they throw people off of health insurance. And you know what happens? Let's be frank. Let's throw it out on the table. When you throw 15 million people off of the health care they have, working class people, low income people, you know what happens when people can't go to a doctor when they need to? They die.
I told you, one of the most powerful speeches I've seen delivered in recent times. This is what you got to do. Go into these red states, speak to the people directly. Here's Senator Bernie Sanders, again, fighting the oligarchs in West Virginia. Here, play this clip.
Today, in the richest country in the history of the world, 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck. Anybody here living paycheck to paycheck? All right. So you all know what that is about. What it's about is that you wake up in the morning and you're saying, am I going to be able to pay the rent at the end of the month? Am I going to be able to buy the decent quality food my kid needs? And what happens if somebody in the family gets sick and I have a large deductible? How am I going to pay that? I can't go to the doctor. My mom's sick. She can't afford prescription drugs. What am I going to do? And right now, throughout this country, there are millions of people living with massive amounts of stress. And do you know what happens when you live with stress? That's right. Now here is a fact. I think many of you may know that pathetically, despite all of the money we spend on healthcare in this country, we have a lower life expectancy than other wealthy countries. You all know that? About 4 years younger. But what you don't know is that working class Americans are living 6 years shorter lives than the wealthy. A number of years ago, I did a hearing in the Senate. We had a bunch of doctors up there. And what they were talking about is what's called diseases of despair. You know what that is? And that is that when people live under constant stress, when every single day is a battle for survival, things happen to their minds, things happen to their bodies. They get sicker, physically sicker, mentally as well. And the end result of that is a lot of people in this country die because they're trying to escape life, and they're turning to drugs, they're turning to booze, they're turning to cigarettes, whatever. But the bottom line is that in the richest country in the history of this world, millions of our people are struggling just to survive and are experiencing enormous stress. Now, what our job is to profoundly take on the ideology of the corporate world and the oligarchs. And what our job is to understand, and you're not going to hear too many people talking about it, is that today and into the future, when we see an explosion of technology with AI and robotics, we can fulfill what humanity has been dreaming about for a very long time. We can, in fact, provide a good quality standard of living for every man, woman, and child on this country. But in order to do that, we're going to have to take on the greed of the oligarchs. And we're going to have to tell them that no, it is not acceptable from a moral or economic point of view that one man, Mr. Musk, has more wealth than the bottom 52% of American households. Now, am I missing something? Or is that totally crazy that one guy has more wealth than the bottom half of households in America? Does anybody think it is vaguely right that the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 93%? Anybody think it's right that CEOs of large corporations make 350 times what their workers make? So that is what our struggle is about, is to take on the greed of these people and say, you know what? You cannot and will not have it all. But their greed is not only, and sometimes I stop and I think about it. I mean, how much money does anybody need? I mean, really, everybody wants to have money. No great secret about that. But the idea that these guys are prepared to support legislation which takes food away from hungry kids, throws people off of health care, cuts housing, in order what? To give them a massive tax break that they don't need. They have enough money, these guys, to support their family for the next 1,000 years. They don't need any more. But it's not just what's going on in America today is not just massive amounts and unprecedented amounts of income and wealth inequality. That's bad enough. But what these guys are also doing is moving very rapidly to control our political system. The worst decision, I think, or at least one of them, made by the U.S. Supreme Court, and they made a lot of bad decisions, but certainly one of them was this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. And the result of that decision is that right now, billionaires have spent many, many hundreds of millions of dollars in both political parties to support their candidates. Now, I have an idea. I want you to hear me here. Any one of you who wants to kick in a mere $270 million to a presidential candidate, you know what? Hey, you can end up having the most important position in government. Only $270 million. But that's not just Musk helping to elect Trump. One of the reasons, in my view, that Kamala Harris lost this election is she had too many billionaires telling her not to speak up for the working class of this country.
And by the way, it should be noted that they are in Wheeling, West Virginia as well. Let me show you this clip right here of Senator Sanders. Let's play it.
Now, I know that Trump did very, very well here in the state of West Virginia. So I want to say a word. I want to say a word to folks in West Virginia and, in fact, across the country who kind of believed what Trump was saying during the campaign. Trump talked a good game, but this is what, in fact, he has done. Trump did not campaign, not that I heard and I paid attention, that he was going to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the top 1%. Did you hear him say that during the campaign? Did you hear him talk about $900 billion in tax breaks for large, profitable corporations? Did you hear him talk about throwing 15 million Americans off of Medicaid? Did you hear him campaign on raising health insurance premiums by more than 75% for some 20 million Americans? Did you hear him campaign on taking away free school meals for up to 16 million kids? Did you hear him campaign on doubling or tripling monthly student loan payments for millions of Americans who are already drowning in debt? I don't recall Trump during the campaign talking about shutting down Social Security field offices, making it harder for seniors and people with disabilities to get the benefits that they deserve. And I surely did not hear Trump talking about throwing some 80,000 employees out of the Veterans Administration, which will lower the quality of care our veterans receive. So Trump campaigned on a series of lies. He said he would speak up for the working families. The truth of the matter, he is standing up for his oligarchic buddies. So what do we have to do? What we have got to do, and the reason I'm here in West Virginia, I'm not here just to give a speech. I am here to beg of you to organize around this state, get working class people organized to stand up and fight the fights that have to be fought.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It look like old Bernie about to run for president in 2028. But nah, man, he a little too old right now. He would have been a straight good ass president though, for real, man. Cause we need somebody like Bernie Sanders, who not really a Democrat. He's not a Republican. Like we need that independent. We need, like, it's so hard to get elected as president running as an independent. They only get about 10, 20, 30,000 votes whenever they do have the election and shit. We need to select an independent, man. Somebody who's gonna straight work for us. For us. And not be beholden to the richest people in the fucking country. Cause it's obvious. The rich is getting richer. The poor is getting poor. I say that because it's true. I mean, it's true. But Bernie right though. We the richest fucking country in the world. So it shouldn't be no reason why we have so much problems with healthcare. It shouldn't be no reason why it's homeless people camping outside of the fucking White House in D.C. And now Trump about to call a National Guard on the homeless people. Instead of doing that, why don't you figure out a way to give people, well, not give, let people earn housing. Make it a fucking affordable. That's all you have to do. Like Bernie said, how much money do a person need? How much? And then what he said about Elon, about how he got more money than the bottom 52%, that shit don't make sense. And this big beautiful bill just transfer more wealth to the richest fucking people. Rich is getting richer, the poor is getting poor. Because every time inflation goes up, wages don't rise at the same rate that inflation rise. That's why back in the day, you'll hear old people joking about, like, back in the day, I can get a whole steak dinner for a nickel. And that's not hyperbole. Like, shit was cheap. Shit was affordable. You can get a whole house for $12,000. Me, I work in manufacturing. Back in the day, the job I have now, I would be well off. Well off. This little job would take care of a family of 4, 5, 6. But nowadays, man, these little manufacturing, that's why nobody want to do manufacturing. But these little manufacturing jobs, you can barely take care of yourself, man. But Bernie's right, though, man. He need to, if he not going to run, him and AOC need to get together and do so. Because I'll vote for AOC. No problem. I will. But Bernie, he got the crowds and shit. He got people behind him because he speak that truth to power. But this is Reggie Red's Reactions. Leave a comment, like, share with your friends, share with your family. We got to get this message out, man. We got to get it out. But I'm out of here. Peace.